Okay. A pleasant day to all. Good evening or good morning. Let me also share the taxonomic component of our research, particularly on the Rubiaceae flora of Ilocos Norte and Northwestern Luzon, Philippines. So these are my supervisors. Um, if you try to look at the position of our country here, the Philippines, despite its relatively small area, it is regarded as one of the 17 megadiverse country in the world. This is owing to its highly variable topography with complex geological history and the presence of various habitats which supports many flora and fauna. And taking into consideration the country's global position in the Malaysian region, it makes the country, the Philippines, as one of the countries with abundant biodiversity. Given such characteristics, the country is being viewed as also as one of the top priority for biodiversity concern, being dubbed as one of the 34 biodiversity hotspots. This means to say that the high level of endemism and biodiversity observed in our country is also under high level of threat. Now, the major threats identified in our country are habitat loss brought by destructive resource utilization, such as rampant illegal logging, the developmental activities, as well as human population pressures, and also the introduction of invasive species and pollution. Added to that is the pressures brought by climate change. Now, with all this mentioned natural phenomenon and anthropogenic pressures that threaten the Philippine biodiversity, there is actually an urgent need in our country to discover and document those flora before meeting their ultimate end. That is, they go extinction. And this is only achievable through the continuous conduct of botanical surveys. Now, if we try to look at in this area, the Cordillera Mountain Range of Ilocos Norte, where I came from, in the northwestern tip part in the island of Luzon, Philippines, this area is actually considered as one of the important sites for floristic study. Several species have been documented and described new to science. However, majority of its forested areas remain understudied, and limited data are available on the structure of its floristic community. Now, in this study, we did field surveys in these areas in the tropical lowland rainforest of KPNP. We also have here a forest over limestone and a seasonal dry forest of Mount Lambin. So these are the study areas. And then we tried to document the Rubiaceae species from this areas, and we did taxonomic work, as well as we did our own assessment on the conservation status, particularly for those species that are actually endemic or found only in our in the area. So why there is actually a particular interest for this family? And the Rubiaceae is actually in the Philippines. It's one of the plant family that is actually contributing to the number of threatened plant lists. Added to that, in the recent global assessment for the family, the Philippines rank among the 20 most diverse regions based on the total number of species, and ranked third among the 20 areas with the highest number of endemic species. So major findings of our study is that um, it actually we noted or we documented 61 species belonging to 32 genera respectively, representing 15 tribes of the family. And then this actually constitutes about 11.09% of the total number of Philippine Rubiaceae. Noteworthy species, we have 27 Philippine endemics. So these are some of the representatives. We also documented 4 endemic species. So these are species found only in the province and nowhere else in the world. We also documented or discovered and recollected 1 species after a lapse of almost 70 years. And it's good that we still were able to document this present in the wild. And we also noted in terms of their occurrence and distribution, some of the species are majority are found in the tropical rainforest, especially for the broadleaf species. But we also noted that some of the species have restricted distribution. In terms of their threatened assessment provided by IUCN, as well as in the Philippine government for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, for their assessment, we found out that we have three threatened species, one endangered, one vulnerable, and one critically endangered. Now, what does this mean now? Our results actually provides an updated list on the occurrence and distribution of endemic taxa. This is actually very significant because the most comprehensive enumeration in the Philippine botany is already 100 years old. So there's a need for new listings for of botanical studies. Added to that, this actually gives us an idea why there is why these areas were considered as protected areas in the Philippines to enforce better law for enforcement of laws to avoid illegal and unsustainable collection of plant, because we actually observe rampant poaching in the area, as well as to raise awareness to the community and to gain broader support for community based involvement para for the conservation and management of these areas. We also develop these communication, education, public awareness materials. Lastly, we already started doing ex situ conservation of these plants in the botanical garden, and we are actually into micropropagating already some selected economically and medically important species, because we noted that several species under this family are actually potential source of novel compounds with potential pharmacological activities. So that would be all, and thank you for your kind attention.